Hi, I'm Chad, and welcome back to Buttonwillow Raceway Park. I am out here Sunday, February 12th for the first round of the California Road Race Association's, or CRA's, 2023 season, and this will be my first day racing as an expert. Qualified yesterday, unfortunately, did not have the best time count. That lap was a 156.07, which is a new personal best for me. Previously, on my 2012 Triumph Daytona 675R, in February of 2022, I qualified with a 156.927. So take almost a second off, not a bad start. Unfortunately, the 157.055 that I did the lap before that was the one that qualified me. So I will be starting from 13th for the first race of the day, the Expert 600 Super Sport. And I'll need to check the grids for the Expert 600 Superbike race later on today. I'll need to check the grids again for that because I did qualify 15th for the Expert middleweight class, but some people did not stick around for today's races, so they moved the grids around, and I moved up from 15th to 13th for the first race. So we'll see. But didn't get out for practice this morning. It was kind of interesting the way they did things. I needed to change my rear tire, and I had planned to go and run one practice session and then run back in. There was another practice group after mine, so pull my wheel off, go change the tire, put it back on, get it back on the warmers before the riders meeting. And that should have given it sufficient time to warm up before my first race, which is race 2 of the day. However, this morning they decided to pull in the schedule. So instead of 2 10-minute practice sessions per group, they did one 15-minute session, and it rained at 6 a.m. So it was damp out here. I decided not to go in to just change my tire. So first race is going to be my warm-up. That sighting lap will be my warm-up lap. I don't have super high expectations this weekend, just to hopefully trim some more time off. I'm not fighting for wins anymore, being an expert now. So yeah, a little bit of the pressure's off, but I'm on a new bike as well, a 2013 Triumph Daytona 675R that I picked up 2.5 weeks ago. So if you haven't seen that video yet, check it out right above. It's been interesting. It's a really great bike. It does everything that my 2012 Daytona 675R that I raced as an amateur last year and the first CVMA round of this year. It does all of the same things that bike does really well, just a little bit better. But the suspension is a little soft. It does have a stock seat on it, or a stock-like seat. So I'm sliding around a little bit. Things will need to change before we go racing again after this weekend, but for the meantime, it's working. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead, get a little bit of coffee, get suited up, and get ready to go out for my first race of the day. And just to clarify, they pulled everything in by an hour, so we are an hour ahead of schedule for races, hence the time that I didn't have to go out for practice if I didn't want to change my tire. So that was what I decided to do, and we're gonna see how that plays out.
I'm working on it.
Did you find my GoPro? Wow, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Jeez. Can't believe that survived. Well, that did not go according to plan. So had a pretty good first lap, I think. I had a really good start, much better than I was expecting to get, especially on a new bike. And yeah, first lap felt really good. I made up some ground pretty well too. I made a pass breaking into Sunset on the end of the first lap, passed an R6 on the straight. That was pretty wild. I've never passed anybody on a straightaway before. But then unfortunately, I went to hit the brakes and someone had kind of parked it in the corner. I ended up clipping them. Luckily, they didn't go down, but I did big time. Bike flipped, and I flipped over it, and I guess I went forward, but I ended up kind of on my like face, knees. It didn't feel very good. Got a little rash, burns on the tops of my knees from I think my base layer, the lining of my suit. Hit my head pretty good, but I remember everything, so that's good. I just saw stars like right afterwards, but I got up, got out of the way. My left hand is pretty swollen, kind of hard to tell here, but all of my fingers. I think I was holding on to the bar really hard when I got lobbed, and that pulled my fingers and just didn't make for a good time. But I'm okay overall. Top of my right foot's a little bruised up too, I think. I haven't really looked at it, but I'm walking around. I survived. Here's the bike. This really hurts. It was a very pretty motorcycle just a few hours ago, and it's been pretty thoroughly crashed. The tacker resets are okay though. It looks like my exhaust is too, surprisingly, so that's good. But oh man, this is gonna hurt to move the bar, but let's try to straighten these out real quick. So it's about straight. Obviously the bar got moved, but probably see my front wheel is crooked. So I don't know if I bent my axle or what, but bike got lobbed pretty good. This is why I think I was holding onto the bar so tight. Grip came up. It's pretty wild. But yeah, hopefully most of this is cosmetic, and the engine and frame and everything, suspension's good. We'll just have to wait and see and find out. But anyways, I'm just gonna try to get some rest and drink some water, have a little bit of food, and get some help from my friends loading this stuff up. It was a bummer, but got the Gold Cup race going up. That's a pretty cool one because they do a pro start. So everybody grids up like they do in MotoGP, bikes on the stands, riders on the bikes, warmers. They got a crew that'll pull them all off and get them ready to go. So I'm gonna go check that out and show you guys what it's like.
Looks like Wyatt got a great start into turn one. All right, in the lead, looks like Wyatt Harris is Bryce Prince coming into Club Corner now, entering into the bus stop, starting to control that lead a little bit. Wyatt Bear still doing good on that Motorsport Exotica prepared BMW. And Roman Kettleson mastering the quality of the 600 high ride there. Staying close while the sweepers. All right, Jared Patavin just coming through along with Connor Brown. Followed by Geraldo Flores. Randy Cox. Well, they're making work, so Bryce is the first one. Rose is able to make a quick pass. podium celebration immediately following this race. Barring anything happening, but I think Bryce has that covered, being the smooth rider that he is.
So, first expert race weekend in the books, and I didn't even finish a race. Am I an expert? Who can say? But I will be back. So it's been 2.5 weeks since the crash. I'm doing a lot better. I did chip a bone in my right foot and did some soft tissue damage there, as well as a lot of soft tissue damage to my left hand. So I'm using both of them and they're fairly comfortable for the most part. My left hand is a little bit weak still. My grip strength's not great. It hurts to pull a clutch lever on a motorcycle, really on my thumb actually, kind of on the outside, how it has to stretch to grip it. So I haven't been back on a bike since, but I'm able to walk. I drove myself to urgent care the day afterwards to get checked out, get all the x-rays and everything. And, on the whole, I'm good. And that's what's important. So I've taken a lot of time to think about this crash and just try to dissect it the best I can and see if there was anything I could have done differently to prevent this from happening. And at the end of the day, I don't really think that there was. I was feeling really good after that first lap. I'd taken 8th place after starting 13th on that front straightaway right before this happened. I hit my brake marker like I had been doing the day before. That was the brake marker that I was using for qualifying, and I was having no issues at all entering turn 1. And the next rider up the track was pretty far away from me. I didn't think there was any way I was going to close up on him that quickly. So I went for the brakes, did my first downshift, and it was at that moment I realized I am closing up on this guy way too fast. And I'm not sure exactly what happened. I think he just got on the brakes too early and just trailed him off completely before he'd even turned into the corner. But he was not going very fast, and I was. And unfortunately, because of where I was on the track, I wasn't planning on trying to overtake him on the inside. I hadn't moved back over to the outside after overtaking that red R6. I tried my best to slow. I was using all of the brakes. And unfortunately, he went turned in. I was able to steer the bike up just a little bit, enough to make sure that I didn't hit him square in the middle. But I did clip his rear tire, I think, and maybe his tail, and went for a big old flip. That was by far the worst crash that I've had in a while, and it hurt a lot. Now, luckily, I was wearing top tier safety gear. My AGV Pista GP-RR kept my head safe. I remember the entire crash. I remember the impact of smacking my head. As soon as I came to a stop, I was able to get up and get away from the bike. So really, really grateful that I had that on, and it absolutely did its job. I didn't have a concussion miraculously, and my D-Air race suit airbag went off as expected. So no damage to my shoulders, my collarbones, my upper back. Everything's good. It was just extremities, that left hand, my right foot, and then I did get a little bit of a carpet burn, I think, from either my base layer or the liner in my suit on the tops of both of my knees. I think I kind of ended up belly flopping at some point. I don't remember if that's exactly how I hit the ground. When I felt the impact against the second bike, I just closed my eyes and tried my best to relax. Really, the best thing that you can do in a crash situation, it's completely out of your control at that point. You're going to be moving for as long as you're moving, and trying to resist that, tense up, that's how you get hurt. I've made that mistake. I've hurt myself doing that before, trying to resist a crash. And I'm really glad that I remembered to just close my eyes and let it happen. Now, unfortunately, my beautiful 2013 Daytona 675R that I had only ridden for the 2 days before this is pretty wadded. As you could see in the video, the front wheel is bent, and we verified it. If it's not at least just bent in the hub, it's definitely bent on the rims. It's cracked in one of the spokes. I'm not sure what else is going on with the rest of the bike. It wouldn't crank when I first tried to restart it after we brought it back into the garage. The ignition would cycle and the fuel pump would turn, but I just wouldn't get a crank. So I took the bike over to Lap Motorsports. My friends David and Jimmy do great work over there, and they were able to get the bike running. Motor seems good, they said. There was some damage to the front harness, which controlled, I think, the clutch safety switch or the starter switch, but either way, they figured it out, got it running. Motor sounds good. So next steps, they've stripped the bike and it's going to Dr. John's in Orange County to get the frame checked out, as well as the forks, just the whole chassis in general. And we're going to see if anything needs to be straightened and do what we can to get the bike back out on track. Obviously, the bodywork's trash, so I'm going to need to replace that at the very least. I think my master cylinder might be done as well because it got rashed up when the bike hit the ground that way. The fluid reservoir exploded and the bleeder screw is completely ground off. So might not be salvageable, but we'll see. My attack rear sets did look good though, as well as my exhaust. I don't know how those didn't really hit the ground or sustain any damage, but I'll take it. I gotta say, I am pretty gutted to have destroyed that bike. It was so beautiful. I've never had a track bike that's been painted so nicely, and it felt really nice to have a nice bike to race. So I definitely want to try to restore it to its former glory, or at least similar to that. Might try to save a few bucks by skipping the metallic flake in the paint, but we'll see. But on the whole, I'm just trying to recover. I'm looking forward to getting the bike back together, hopefully, assuming most of it is salvageable, and getting back out for the next round of the California Road Race Association's 2023 championship at the end of April at Podium Club in Arizona. So, my key takeaway from this experience, just because you're racing with experts doesn't mean experts won't make mistakes. So just be prepared for that. I'm definitely going to be prepared going forward and make sure that I am totally aware of where I'm at, where I'm going, and try my best to plan for something like this. I'm going to do everything that I can to just keep that in the back of my head and think about it going forward. So hopefully it doesn't happen again. I want to give a big thank you and shout out to Nigel, to Sean, to Robert, to Brandon, to Jason, and all my other friends that helped me out loading the bike up into my van, getting all packed up and situated, and just for checking in on me after the crash to make sure that I was okay. Really appreciate you guys. Made me feel a lot better, and I don't know if I would have been able to get home without you, so thank you so much. With that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, I would sincerely appreciate a gentle little click of the like button, and if you consider subscribing for more motorcycle racing content like this, and drop a comment below. Have you been involved in a crash on track involving somebody else? Was it their mistake or yours? Or do you have any idea what happened at all? Let's talk about it in the comments below. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll hope to catch you in the next one. Until then, later.